You're about to listen to a Gaming Stooges podcast with your regularly scheduled Stooges.
I'm Jack.
The internet calls me Cloud.
And I'm Landon.
We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and if you do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Twitch, or joining our Discord. Let's get on with the show.
Hi, folks. Now, video games, they have a different amount of single-player and multiplayer content across a wide array of genres, from series to series, generation to generation. We're going to take a little bit of a granular scope today and kind of just talk about the comparison between single-player versus multiplayer content. If you weren't able to read the title, maybe, this came on in the background on Spotify or YouTube, just to explain what we're doing today. We haven't actually really kind of introduced a topic in this way, so I actually want to go around real quick and just have everybody share, based on that metric specifically, what are some primary franchises that you play that you can kind of pull from in today's topic based on, single player and multiplayer content. We are pretty much all mostly single player when it comes to the games that we play, but I mean, it can vary, so I like to go around and just kind of get some specifics before we really crack down and begin.
Big words today, Cloud. Granular.
Granular? Yes.
I think all video games apply to the topic of single player and multiplayer.
Yes,
but
there's a scope, so kind of to give background on where you come from with that experience.
I play X single player, but I play Y multiplayer.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's an example. I'll throw you a bone and give you a chance to think about it.
Thank you.
Metroid Prime 2 Echoes has a fantastic single player game mode, but I don't play it for that. I only play it for the multiplayer mode.
Okay.
Do you really?
Understandable.
I like to play the Super Smash Bros. Series with a balance of the two, as an example. But, I mean, I'd be surprised sometimes how often I play Smash for the single-player content that it offers. We'll get more into it, though.
Alright, Jack. Now, can you think of an example of a game that might offer both content?
A game that might offer both content.
Maybe Tony Hawk, perhaps.
That's a good answer, actually.
Good answer, Steve!
It's a better answer.
Do you play Tony Hawk with your friends?
I do, sometimes.
There you go.
There are a variety of game modes in Tony Hawk multiplayer, and that's a good answer. Better answer than I was thinking of.
Well, there you go. So let's divvy it up then. So first of all, as we mostly tend to play single player games, again, for the most part, primarily. So there's kind of been a trend, especially recently, that single player games, even if they don't really need multiplayer, you'll find that they have multiplayer components to them. And that's kind of been a thing for a couple decades now. They've been experimenting and tiptoeing that line between, what games are going to have some kind of multiplayer component. Sometimes it's baked into the game, sometimes it's not. And, that's evolved over time, like I said. Like the Super Mario Brothers games, for example, they've pretty much always had a multiplayer aspect to them, despite the campaigns mainly being single-player affairs. But, I mean, at first, you had, you just took turns, right? So you just took turns playing levels with two players, and that was basically it. And then they came out with the Super Mario 64 DS and also the Super Mario Advance series, where they had this total side mode that was more for multiplayer than anything. You had the remade Mario Brothers game that was on all of the Super Mario Advance titles, and then they came out with a cool selection of mini games on the DS titles that you could just play those, and you didn't even need multiple copies of the game. You just needed one copy in DS download play. You were set. So that's kind of an example that I'm going with, as well as like the new Super Mario Brothers games with Wii onward, except for 2. You have basically active multiplayer, even though you don't have to play the games at all multiplayer that way. So that's the kind of comparisons that we're looking at today. What is your... I mean, we've had experience with the Mario games in that facet. Did you guys play any of the multiplayer components to any of that stuff?
To any of the new Super Mario Brothers games?
To just any of the games in general, as a way to warm up, as an icebreaker.
We did streams for... God, how many of them?
Super Mario 3D World, you guys played together. That was one of our earlier streams that you guys did.
We never uploaded VODs for those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even before that, we did 1-3 World.
We did not Mario games, but the Donkey Kong Country trilogy.
Yeah. Which are, once again, a little bit more like they're like a back and forth.
Yeah, taking turns sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more... You're taking turns during the same stage rather than literally like, oh, I died. Here you go.
Boop. Yeah.
That's the controller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you generally look for a game to have that sort of offering, like having some multiplayer to it, or does it really like not matter when you're looking at like whether you want to play a game or not?
It depends on, like, I guess the type of game. Because, like, for me, like, RPGs, it's fine if they don't have any sort of multiplayer component. But, like, especially now, like, platformers are, like...
Very common,
nice.
right?
It's nice when they have it. But especially, like, sometimes they only make it to where it's, like, online only or couch co-op.
Only. And
only.
Yeah.
So you don't really have that option of, like, either or?
Yeah, and especially for what we do, it's nice when you have both.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we can play together. But then also, I don't have to only play with you guys. I can, play with...
That's a good point.
People in my real world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, with, just kind of like an example, like, Mario Kart, especially, like, the newer entries that has the option for both. So it's pretty easy to, like, I have a friend over, or maybe my girlfriend and I want to play a game together, and we can, put on Mario Kart and we can play it together. But also, if you guys want to play Mario Kart, then we can play Mario Kart, because we also have that option. It's kind of weird when a game only has one or the other, but it's kind of more common to see nowadays than it is, like...
It's mostly Nintendo's fault.
Yeah.
It's mostly Nintendo's fault.
Yeah. They, like, fucking Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Why the fuck doesn't that have online multiplayer, Nintendo? Come on.
Kirby. Period. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
But guys, we have amazing mirror multiplayer now.
Go kill myself.
Okay.
Okay.
I had actually a note file. I don't want to bring up the same franchise that I always do, so I'm trying to think of something else. What was the notes that I had? Okay.
Talk about the multiplayer mode in Sly Cooper 3.
Okay.
No. I am going to talk about something very similar, though. So, I do typically, depending on the game series, really only look for one thing or the other. I don't usually look for both. Unless it's like a specific franchise like Super Smash Bros. Or Mario Kart, where I know I can get a good helping of both sides to that. But, for instance, one example is actually the Ape Escape games. They're pretty much single-player games. Like, they're 3D platformers, you go around, you catch monkeys, but they do always have mini-games. And these mini-games vary from game to game. The first one, I actually streamed it recently. There was a boxing minigame, there is a skiing minigame, and there's a twin-stick shooter minigame, and you can play those with multiple people. So that's pretty cool. But then in the second game, there's literally a soccer sub-game. And I say sub-game because it's more than just a mini-game. Because the monkeys you collect in the game, some of them actually are unlockable monkeys you can play in the soccer game. And it's kind of funny because you can get like these monkeys that are wearing like space costumes, just running around, kicking a ball. So it's pretty cool. You don't have to, again, you don't have to play this game, but it's a fun side attraction. I like games like that just have that random like multiplayer like gameplay that you can have if you want, like as a side mini game. I don't really need like my single player games to have a, you know, specific multiplayer aspect to them. Like, yeah, new Super Mario Brothers games are really fun to play with multiple people, but I don't need it. Although I will say I've gotten kind of more used to recently playing them like with other people.
You know what I think is really funny? The amount of like, it's almost a requirement for a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter even to have a multiplayer mode, even if it's like a largely single-player focused story, like shit like Uncharted, Mass Effect, Doom, Spec Ops: The Line, fucking Titanfall 2. These are all like great, except for Mass Effect, single-player experiences, but they all just kind of have multiplayer shoehorned in for the reasons. Like, no one ever talks about the multiplayer in Doom 2016 because no one plays it, but it exists.
I forgot that it does exist.
It exists.
Doom is the kind of game I never, despite it being an FPS, I've never thought of it as a multiplayer game. I've never thought of it.
It's not supposed to be.
No,
is the thing.
No, I like this. I like these kind of examples. I like the variety that we're talking about here when it comes to these kind of games.
I think the funniest example out of the ones that I mentioned, though, is Spec Ops: The Line, which is an incredibly, like, dark and introspective and very gritty single-player story, and then it has multiplayer for some reason, which is pretty funny.
I think the funnier one is Titanfall 2, because Titanfall 1 was
only multiplayer. And then they made actually one of the best single-player campaigns in a first-person shooter in, like, the past 2 decades.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about the multiplayer in that game, but the single-player fucking rules.
It is. It's crazy. Like, come on. Just make another one.
Yeah.
What's Respawn doing right now?
And, like, on that topic, like, there's a lot of like multiplayer focused first-person shooters, or just again shooters in general, that I wish they put more effort into the single player, because I mean, like, even Call of Duty, like Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2 both have great single player. Even like Black Ops and Black Ops 2 do as well, but like
GoldenEye 007 for its time was another one that had a good either or. You could play both.
True. But like, I don't know, it just kind of got to a point where Activision stopped giving a fuck about the single player. I mean, just look at the recent review, IGN review of Modern Warfare 3's, the new Modern Warfare 3's single player campaign, which they gave a 4 out of 10. Jesus. And that's IGN we're talking about.
No, that's a good
point.
I
don't know, I feel like
I feel like a lot of series have changed like that over time. They've just kind of lost their focus on some side of content and just sacrificed it for something else.
I feel like there's a good balance that you can make between the two and still offer like a good experience for people who are looking for either or. Like, they would be satisfied with just one or the other, but they just kind of don't give a shit about the single player anymore, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, it's so like, I know I'm going to go, I'm going to be kind of like really...
Kids these days.
Yeah.
Is it going to go back to Fortnite?
Not even kids these days. It's more like, it's kind of like businesses, like game companies have realized, oh, if people like to play games together all the time now, we don't have to put effort into our single player campaign, because we know that if we make good multiplayer, that guy's going to tell his friend to get the game anyway so they can play it together. So who cares about the single player content? Like, that's basically the mindset that they have sometimes, it feels like.
I mean,
it's more like companies these days, not even kids these days.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, I give credit to Nintendo for putting in, like, well, after the first game anyway, putting in a lot of effort into the level design and writing in the Splatoon games for their single player campaigns.
That's true.
Like, I still haven't played Splatoon 3 single player, so I can't speak for that personally, but I've heard it's really good. And Splatoon 2 and the Octo expansion for Splatoon 2 are both great single player stories, and also the multiplayer is great too, so I feel like these companies just don't have any excuse.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna stick to the topic of multiplayer-driven decisions, now that's something I touched upon earlier, is that over time, I've noticed that a lot of franchises that have had a balance of one or the other, and, you know, sometimes, you know, the content's a little bit better on one end or the other end, like, but there was usually some sort of balance, but, like, as time has gone on, if they've been able to put more effort into the multiplayer, or if they've been able to realize that it sells and it makes people come back and keep playing, they've kind of sacrificed single player content in order to service that to whatever extent they do so. And one franchise that's really suffered from this is Pokemon. Like, despite the DLC that they try to add, like, extra content, like, they've kind of stopped doing post-game stuff that you could normally play by yourself, because they were like, well, we know that people are going to play, like, these raids together. Like, this especially started with Sword and Shield, is like, and I think Pokemon Go, to an extent, just when they introduced it, is like the idea of playing with other people to, like, tackle these, like, bosses, so to speak. They realized they didn't need to, like, put as much effort into having post-game content to play by yourself, because they were like, well, we'll just have people play this instead. Like, you don't see Battle Frontiers or Battle Facilities as much anymore, because it's like, here's a raid event. It's like, okay, I guess.
Yay. Here's a DLC. Yay.
Like, DLC is one thing, but it's clear that they're just doing it as like because it's always been like a multiplayer and single player kind of balancing act that they've been doing, because, like, you have to trade Pokemon. You probably want to battle your friends, but now it's like, oh, well, now they're just going to have raid events, and they're just going to have this or that, and it's, you know, multiplayer driven. So it's kind of hard if you're not playing with other people who really want to play the game with you, to, like, have something to, like, keep coming back to yourself. And that's kind of the problem with, like, some games that just nowadays, just in general, like, if the core gameplay is being sacrificed because they want you to play this other mode that you're not actually trying to indulge in, when that was their primary focus before, kind of weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain and put into words, but I think you see where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, I'm not even trying to say that there's anything inherently wrong with, like, games that focus exclusively on the multiplayer. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just, you know, put all your chips in and make it a good game. You know, make it... the trick... Okay, to better explain that. The trick into making a multiplayer game, like a solely multiplayer-focused game, a good one, is to, you know, make it replayable and give it longevity. You know, maybe add, like, updates to it. Maybe throw in some new weapons or cosmetics. Valve, please go back to Team Fortress 2. It's been years.
No, we're good.
Oh.
We took all your things and we made Destiny 2. We're just doing another expansion for you.
Yay.
A good example, actually, of what you're talking about. So I do want to use this to segue into another comparison. But Landon mentioned, you know, RPGs, you don't really need a multiplayer aspect to them for the most part. Like, there's no reason to do that. But platformers
Tales of says "fuck you" to that, and a lot of them have a multiplayer.
They do. That's so weird. Wait, what? I did not know this.
A lot of them will you can have a second person like take control of another person.
Oh yeah, no. Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9 does the same thing. It's weird.
Yeah,
like
so
Final Fantasy's like dipped with it. Yep.
Yeah, that type of gameplay with a lot of the Tales of games.
Where is my Kingdom Hearts game where my friend can pick up Donald Duck?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay,
what about Goofy?
I thought of
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I thought I thought of a slight topic, a minor shift in I don't fucking know. What are some examples of games where like the base game itself is great and it's like it would be totally fine if it didn't have multiplayer at all, but it also has really fucking good multiplayer for no reason?
So I know that I don't speak for all three of us because I am the person that played the most of this by themselves. Borderlands 2 is probably the game for me for that. Like, it's obvious.
Okay.
It is way better to play with multiple people, but it is surprisingly a really good game to just play. Like, it's got a solid story. It's got a really fun gameplay loop. It just happens to be that much better when you add friends to play with you.
I could agree with that. I will say that the experience was improved once I played with other people, but it's a good game on its own, like as a single player experience as well.
Yeah, it's just the first thing I thought of.
What were you gonna say, Landon?
I was gonna say I played through like the entirety of Borderlands 1 by myself. So
yeah,
like, I still like. I think all of the Borderlands, most of the Borderlands,
yeah,
the first two Borderlands,
and the pre-sequel.
are like, yeah. Well, I was gonna say the first two Borderlands work well as a single player or multiplayer. I didn't try playing the pre-sequel outside of us playing it together,
Okay, yeah,
so I don't know.
That's true. Well, I mean, to be fair, we played the entire game and did every mission.
We literally did everything, and I was like, well, that's good.
Yep, we're done.
Thumbs up.
Good game.
And I have yet, and who knows if I'll ever touch number 3, just because.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, I still haven't looked into it.
Honestly, zero interest.
But I am willing to go play more Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
We really should return to that one day.
We still haven't finished the DLC.
You know,
it's been almost a decade.
I will buy PlayStation Plus. That's
to play Borderlands.
Just to play Borderlands.
Yeah.
So
it's fun enough, I would say. Yeah, I'd do the same.
That's crazy because I don't want to buy PlayStation Plus ever again.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, FPSs, they can vary. You have stuff like Doom that are primarily single player. You have stuff like Call of Duty, primarily multiplayer. You have stuff like Borderlands, which can really be either or. But a genre we haven't talked about is fighting games. There's a lot of variance in the single player content of fighting games, which are by nature meant to be multiplayer because you're supposed to play against each other.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a surprising amount of multiplayer games, and when you mentioned good, like strong single player alongside multiplayer, I think one game that I thought of immediately was actually Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball FighterZ has a pretty solid campaign.
I did
but
play
it's also
through
just
the
a
entire
really good game.
I did play through the entire story of Dragon Ball FighterZ, so good game.
Yeah. But yeah, stuff like that.
I would say Soul Calibur 2 probably has one of my favorite campaigns because you basically get an adventure mode, kind of similar to how Smash Ultimate does it.
Oh, like the kind of board thing.
Yeah, it's like a huge board, and you like run around, like you go between them, and then you have fights, and it has like a little campaign that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked that because I played through all of that as a kid and had fun.
A guilty pleasure of mine that's really fun to play with like someone else, like teaming up with you, but you don't necessarily need a second player, is some of the Dynasty Warriors games.
Yeah.
I used to have so much fun with one of my friends. We it was funny back in like 2008 or so, I think. No, 2009. Like summer 2009, Dynasty Warriors 6, which is not well regarded. It's like one of like the worst Dynasty Warriors games by like the fan base's standards. And on a technical level, depending on the system you played on, it runs bad. It's like, but even by Dynasty Warriors standards, it's bad. But like, it was really fun. My friend and I used to just make stupid jokes about like all of the different characters as we were playing the game together. I have to admit, it's been 14 years, so some of those jokes are not in the best taste now. But I mean, at the time, it was just a blast to come up with like these stupid personifications for like the different characters and then just like kind of create our own headcanons because there's like a bajillion characters. Plus, it's just fun to just mindlessly hack through like dozens of enemies all at once, and it's fun to do with a friend. So,
sir, can you speak on the public record real quick? Some of those inside jokes for me.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Please speak into the microphone.
It wasn't like super like bad. Like it was like super bad stuff. It was just kind of like, you know, just stuff that's not really in the best taste.
It wasn't super bad. It was Michael Cera and Jonah Hill super bad.
Kind of, yeah. It was like there wasn't anything like racist or sexist or anything like that, but like we did like kind of have what you would consider possibly like ableist kind of humor here or there. Like we made characters like unreasonably stupid. We also had like this one guy who like for some reason we just like made him like super like there was nothing about him that was supposed to be like chauvinistic, but we like would be like, I am Ma Chao, and he would just always like announce that he's there, and he'd just be like this guy who's always like this kind of guy. I don't know why we came up with that character for him, but that's who Ma Chao is to us now.
Cloud, I'm gonna be real. These are kind of inoffensive, actually.
Well, no, there was another one though. There was like one like Sao P and Sao Sao. Like we made like Sao Sao's the younger. The was Sao Sao or Sao P the like one of them we basically made like mentally deficient. And like he would like always beg his dad for like McDonald's and weird shit like that. And like his dad and his dad would like basically
we
just
have
shit
McDonald's
all over
at
him.
home.
Yeah, like we'd be like, but Daddy, I want the new Happy Meal toy, and then like his dad would be like, no, we're not getting McDonald's. It's just like this weird argument that we'd have. Keep in mind
That's
the character that's like the character that's supposed to be younger is like 30 something years old in like the canon. So like
perfect.
I don't know. Like we did that sort of thing. It was just fun times though. Like we're on a tangent, but basically like it's fun when there's a game that's like kind of easy to play either way, and it's just like we were talking about with Borderlands, it's just enhanced when you play with other people. Like you have stuff like New Super Mario Brothers that's like stuff like Borderlands. Like I guess those are the kind of games that are really fun to.
I never got an answer from Landon.
For what?
Like surprisingly good multiplayer in a single player game.
Did you ever play the multiplayer mode for the Phantom Hourglass?
I did not, actually.
Okay.
There's multiplayer for that?
I don't even remember what it is.
You would play... okay. So it was sort of like a capture the flag where you tried to capture... Was it Phantom Hourglass or was it Spirit Tracks? I think it was Spirit Tracks, because you could go into the... you could like basically play as Zelda in the Golem and control them. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It was one of the two DS ones. You would try to pick up like gems and take them back to a home base, and you could like try and steal them from the other one.
Okay.
You like flipped between like you playing as Link and then like as one of like the security golems and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I would play it a lot on bus trips, like, and we would have fun playing that. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
My answer anyway, that spawned that question to begin with is Sonic Adventure 2, which is would be perfectly fine as a single player game on its own, but then the multiplayer actually has some unique playable characters and unique levels that you can play in.
You mean battle, right?
Well, yeah, battle specifically, but
yeah, because some of that wasn't in the original Dreamcast version.
But still,
you know what game is even better than that for the multiplayer mode? That's right, Shadow the Hedgehog.
No.
I
remember you could I remember playing that too. I regrettably have memories of playing Shadow the Hedgehog multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
Same.
I spent at least probably 3 hours playing the multiplayer mode in that game.
You know what
3
game?
hours.
Yeah.
You know what game has shitty multiplayer, and yet for some reason was featured in Breaking Bad? Sonic 06.
Hell yeah.
And by featured, I mean there's a scene where two
games.
characters are playing it, and that's it.
There's
That's
a
so
lot of
weird.
Sonic games with
Sonic
multiplayer
Heroes
that
has
shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Sonic Heroes does count. Is a kind of game where you could have the multiplayer there, but yeah, they just kind of threw that into a lot of Sonic games, especially during that period from late Dreamcast, early GameCube into the very early Xbox 360, PS3 cycle. They were just here's a multiplayer mode. We're just why? They had a multiplayer mode for frickin' Secret Rings.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Secret Rings had a weird Mario Party type multiplayer mode. I mean, I wouldn't say Mario Party, but it was mini games, and it was formatted in such a way that it was kind of like Mario Party.
Black Knight has a multiplayer mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't you sword fight people, or is it just Can't you play as Jet the Hawk in Sonic and the Black
Knight? Yeah,
Knight?
you can play as Jet.
The fuck?
As one of the knights. I think you can play as Tails as the blacksmith.
That's funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember I played the levels themselves, but I didn't get to really show off the multiplayer. But you can play the Game Land levels in Sonic Colors with 2 players. I don't know why you do this. It's really stupid. But
it's really stupid.
It really is, because the camera only focuses on one character. So if you are not that character, you are not keeping up.
Yeah.
It's not so you can go off screen, just die.
Speaking of useless multiplayer in the Sonic games, the classic games kind of have that too. I mean, Sonic 2 and 3, you can have a second person plug in a controller and play as Tails, but aside from occasionally flying Sonic to another platform when he might need it, you're effectively useless because
I wouldn't say that, because you're literally invincible, so you can just cheese the boss fights for whoever's playing as Sonic.
But in the levels,
yeah,
for the most part, just no reason to be there because the camera doesn't focus on Tails at all.
No.
And Tails, fuck all if you want to move anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to keep the same speed and pace and the same trajectory that whoever's playing as Sonic is going.
Actually, I think Sonic 3 had an incredibly bare bones versus mode, or was that Sonic 2?
They did.
Yeah.
No, it was well, they did have it in Sonic 2 as well, but Sonic 3 had specific levels designed for it. Whereas Sonic 2 just picked 3 levels, and then that was it. Which they did expand when they re-released it on Origins, and before that on mobile. I don't remember if you could do it on that one, so I'm just going to say on Origins. They added extra levels that you could do this on, but it was literally just the levels that were already there.
Yeah.
But Sonic 3 and Knuckles had separate ones.
Hmm.
And you know what game is perfect because it's not tainted by a boring multiplayer mode? I was going to say stupid.
Sonic Triple Trouble?
No. Sonic 3D Blast.
Oh, lovely.
Now I have to change my answer. Hold on. Let me pick a bad Sonic game.
Sonic
I thought you were
Sonic 4 Episode 1.
Yeah, good answer.
Good answer, Steve.
Good answer. Yes, Sonic Triple Trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of to move away from specifically talking about Sonic, I do want to get into, so we've talked about single player games with we've talked a lot of actually more about like single player games that have some multiplayer content to it. So I do want to try to shift focus away and like, what are some games that you guys play that are primarily multiplayer but have single player components to them? Like
None.
For Jack, I did mention for you Tony Hawk because you didn't. Like, that's kind of both. Like something that's either balanced between the two or is something that is known for having a multiplayer that a lot of people played.
I'm not sure that I would say Tony Hawk has like a notable multiplayer.
I guess the argument. So the thing is you can argue one way or the other because I know a lot of people would talk about how they used to play the horse game with their friends.
That's because it's the best one. Horse is the best multiplayer game in Tony Hawk.
True. I guess my main argument is like it doesn't necessarily have to be like just multiplayer with some single player. It could be something that is more like balanced because a lot of the games we've talked about are pretty much mostly single player with a multiplayer aspect. Like I know we talked about we brought up Dragon Ball FighterZ. We've talked a little bit about Super Smash Brothers, a little bit about Mario Kart.
Well, to bring up a game that Al mentioned earlier in our Twitch chat, Guilty Gear Strive.
I haven't played it, so.
Which has an very surprisingly in-depth story mode with a lot of voiced cutscenes, and also a really like varied and extensive multiplayer as well. Shout out to Guilty Gear Strive.
Is there any thing that sticks out for that single player content that they offer?
I mean, not really. Just the fact that they have a story at all, which most fighting games don't. I mean, well, not to say most fighting games don't. Mortal Kombat always does, but it's usually pretty stupid.
I mean, it is Mortal Kombat. They like to.
Oh yeah. God.
They live for it.
The story in Mortal Kombat is always bad, and I always love it. But Super Smash Brothers Brawl is probably like the biggest example I can think of that strikes like the perfect balance between single player and multiplayer game, because like if you're playing multiplayer, there's like a shitload of different ways that you can play with your friends aside from just like the standard battles, but also the standard battles are there if you want. And the single player has like a shitload of trophies and stickers and like vault shit, and the Subspace Emissary, which is also multiplayer if you want to. It's two-player, well, at most two-player at any given point in the story, but that's something. I mean, like, I can't think of another game that has like a better like balance, in my opinion, because it has like a shitload of single-player content, despite being like a primarily party game, so to speak.
I think my best example for this kind of game would probably actually be Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, because that is a game that you you're supposed to be online pretty much always. I mean, you can play offline, but you're going to be playing most of the time even just connected to the internet. And you can do parallel quests together with people. You can do expert missions, which are basically like raids, but then they have like actual raid events that are pretty much only going to be tackled if you're playing with multiple people. You've got a versus mode. You've got just all sorts of stuff that you can do multiplayer. But like, there's an entire campaign, and there's a level up system where you can customize your character, and all of this is stuff that you don't even have to engage with any other people in order to have a good time. So I think that's definitely a game that like I played it probably for the reasons that like well, at least not the reasons, but the content I played it for is not the content that most people were like experiencing. Like most people were playing it to play like the online stuff with other people. Like they'll usually be playing against other people in versus, they'll be doing raid events, they'll be doing expert missions. Maybe they'll do some parallel quest online, but like I'm just here for Krillin to say cool shit to me. I don't need to play with other people. Yay. That's a good example. I'm trying to think of another one.
Have any examples, Landon?
Just playing Mario Party by myself with 3 CPUs.
I mean, I used to do that.
I mean,
especially some of the best Mario Party games, you can have a good time by yourself too.
Playing Amiibo Festival by myself with
oh my god,
4 Amiibo.
Remember when you would do that over like Discord? And like you would have like you would assign us different amiibo, and like our only actual input was deciding which direction to go.
Like sometimes I tell you when I like for rolls, because like a lot of them like you have to like move the amiibo off the gamepad.
Yeah,
I would ask you when, and then you tell me.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah,
forgot about that.
And a lot of the time you'd literally just say when.
When. So there was that.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Stupid party games where I just play it by myself because it doesn't have an online mode, but it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
No, it took them forever to like put a series that should have had online a long time ago to have online. It's bizarre. Like, they had to... Didn't they? Yeah, they added the online in an update to Super Mario Party, like, long after the fact, right? Like, you didn't have the ability to play Super Mario Party online.
It took them like a year.
Out. Yeah. Which, by update standards, is quite a while. Like, you had to wait quite a while just to play online with other people is weird.
Yeah.
But no, I used to love playing Mario Party 3 just by myself. Like, it's because like the mini games are just a lot of fun. I like doing the battle mode. Like, I don't know if there was another Mario Party that had something like that, where like you could recruit different minions of Bowser's army. Like you could get a Womp or a Piranha Plant, and they had different stats, and you can put them in front or behind you, walk around a board, and like fight the other guy. Like, I thought that was cool shit, so I would just play that by myself because nobody wanted to play with me.
I honestly thought I had a lot of fun playing Mario Party DS by myself. Solid Mario Party title, honestly. And it's like also a very multiplayer friendly game as well, because you only need 1 cartridge to play it with 4 people.
Yeah, because they had the download play, right?
Yep.
They did that a lot, especially for like Mario games on the DS. Is they had a lot of like, oh, if you do download play, you can connect like 3 other systems together.
Yeah, but
like
a lot
I mentioned
of the times,
earlier, we had like the. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of the times for download play, they would limit you to like if you didn't have a cartridge, you would be limited in your selections for like the character that you chose, because Mario Kart DS download play,
everyone was Rob.
No, everyone was Shy Guy.
Oh, yeah, Shy Guy.
Shy Guy.
Because if you didn't have a cartridge, you had to be Shy Guy.
Right.
And it was just different colors of Shy Guy for other people. I think it was different colors of Shy Guy, but I don't know.
I would hope that it was different colors of Shy Guy.
Mario Kart DS is another example of like great multiplayer, great single player as well. The only Mario Kart to this day to have a mission mode.
I forgot that Mario Kart DS had a mission mode.
Yup. It was great. I love it.
Bring back the mission mode.
They really should. If Mario Kart 9, make a mission mode and make it good.
I mean, to be honest, if they're from where they're going to have to go from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, considering all of the content that they had in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they're going to have to do something different with Mario Kart 9 to make it stand out. And I think you might have hit on something like a good idea here is like maybe they could just, bring back something like a mission mode or just something unique that will make people want to play it.
Yeah.
Better idea.
I think
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
For the next generation of Nintendo systems.
Goodness.
With more DLC tracks.
It comes on cart, all of the content out, and we're adding 2 new battle courses.
Just 2. It sucks that they didn't add more battle courses for any of the booster cores, but I mean, they were focused on Tour. I don't think Tour has any of that, so... The booster course pass was basically just ripping Tour's content and throwing it on the 8 Deluxe, so...
Fuck Tour.
I mean, we got the booster course pass out of it, so it's not a total loss.
I mean, yeah, but still.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though, with, like, mobile games, is that, like, inherently... a lot of them are multiplayer focused. If they're not gacha based where like you're supposed to collect stuff, then you are probably going to be playing with other people in some manner. And even then there can be like a mix of that sort of thing going on as well. Like, I mean, with Pokemon Go, you have, raids and other community activities that you really get the most out of by playing with other people. You tend to get a lot more resources if you have a bunch of friends sending you gifts back and forth. So like it's just you're able to play more game because you have other people. And then I mean you have stuff like Mario Kart Tour, which obviously like you have that aspect where you can play with others, and you're probably going to if you're playing Mario Kart Tour. It's kind of weird how mobile games have differentiated themselves compared to console games. I don't have enough knowledge to really extensively talk about it though. I don't really know anybody that like primarily plays mobile games.
Nope.
And there's Landon.
Not a single person. I don't know a single
person
who plays mobile games.
He said primarily. Then again, Lennon probably does.
What the fuck do you think I do? Like,
I was going to say Lennon does play Dokkan Battle more than probably
20 hours. You only sleep 4 hours a day.
Lennon plays.
It's called Auto, man.
Lennon definitely plays Dokkan in his sleep. I choose to believe.
He's seen me do it.
I have.
Really?
No, I was sleeping in the other room.
God damn it.
I made sure Trader was watching him.
Trader did wake me up a couple times.
That way Jack doesn't learn my secrets.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if we don't have really too many other examples, which is understandable because like I said, we mostly play single player, and some of the series that we like will have a multiplayer component, so sometimes we can play that. We don't have a whole lot of examples because like I guess the last thing the older Halo games obviously have a really great multiplayer, but they also have a serviceable campaign. That's probably the last example I can think of.
I would say great campaign. Like I played through Halo 3 campaign, ironically with friends, so it was multiplayer, but still a great time. Like it's short, but it's fun.
I mean, I know some people like were knocking on it because you don't play as Master Chief in the game, but I was like loving the campaign of Halo Reach. Like I thought it was fantastic. Like the multiplayer isn't quite as good as like 3 or 2, but it was still really fun. And I really enjoyed the campaign for that one. So, and I mean, Halo 2 has a speedrunning community for its campaign mode. So like, people love that game, and they love playing. They love playing the single player because I don't even remember like they've been like cutting down on the time record like over the years. It's been crazy. But to move on to the last like major component of the topic is basically something we touched on earlier, and that's that over time a lot of like franchises or game series have kind of changed their approach. We talked about this with Sonic. Like there was just randomly a bunch of times where Sonic had like a multiplayer that they didn't need, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But I mean, you have series like, Mario, which we've talked about, but I'm sure there's other examples of like franchises that have like kind of changed a little bit over time in their focus on one or the other that we could hit upon. I'm trying to think of one like off the top of my head.
I mean, Zelda has multiple multiplayer focused entries in a single player heavy franchise.
Yeah,
okay.
But those are usually spin-offs.
I mean,
Usually.
Four Swords Adventure. I mean, both Four Swords Adventure, and Triforce Heroes all are like have a canonical place in the timeline.
Is Triforce Heroes really in the timeline?
Yeah, it takes place after a link between
I was gonna
worlds.
say I'm pretty sure even Link's crossbow training has like a spot in the timeline somewhere, doesn't it? Like
It's right after Twilight Princess, yeah.
Yeah, so like they do like they take place in the series. I think that's actually an interesting topic that we could talk about, because some series they are primarily one thing, but then they'll have games that go in a different direction like that. You have stuff like Zelda, Metroid did that as well. You had like Metroid Prime Hunters, Metroid Prime Federation Force, which you could play.
Prime Hunters had one of the worst
I mentioned Federation Force, and Jack's like,
Not just Federation
Grumpy.
Force, but Hunters.
Hunters.
Landon and I actually played a level in Federation Force.
Yeah,
It was like one or two levels. I don't even remember, but we quit on it pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was what it was.
Yep,
Yeah, it was.
it was what it was.
Now I'm just getting chills about the time I have to play Hunters for the channel.
One day.
do you have to? I mean, we could sweep it under the rug. Well, no, but nobody will say anything. I
But
it
won't
would be-
notice.
It would be
Al will
funnier,
literally
though.
say something.
Al will say something. He will bring it up.
I mean, now that you've brought it up, now he is going to. You brought this on yourself, Landon.
have fun with that, Landon, he says.
Thanks.
Have
Al,
fun with that.
I say.
My cat is like walking around all over the room, exiting, then coming back and doing it again. She's just looping around the house.
Hell yeah.
So
Sneezy.
another example I would say is the multiplayer-focused Pokemon games. So Stadiums and the Battle Revolution.
I was going to say I'm surprised we hadn't brought those up yet.
Well, guess what?
Now we are.
I set them. Now you guys can talk about them while I sit here.
I don't give a fuck about the Stadium single player, but the minigames, timeless.
That's
Especially-
probably the only thing worth doing on the Nintendo Switch Online version, since you can't connect like to play with non-rental shit, and then like the rental Pokemon suck ass.
I mean, that I guarantee that's the whole reason they added those at all, is because they
It's
have
just
the
the
mini
minigames.
games, and you
Oh,
can
yeah.
play the mini games with people online now, which is pretty sick, honestly.
But I want to hear all of the battle quotes. So Jack and I are gonna have to play some rental fights.
We should, yeah.
Yeah, for funsies.
Yeah. You gotta have the voice actor for Tracy losing his goddamn mind because, I don't know, Magneton hit Thunder on Skarmory. Sure.
It's a one-hit wonder.
And there
move
goes the
And there
battle.
goes the battle!
Thank you.
I'm trying to think, cause the thing is it's weird because of Pokemon being just a social interaction focused series. Even Landon mentioned, the Stadium games, which are actually primarily just multiplayer focused, just with something you can do single player. I'm trying to think though, because there's very few Pokemon games that don't in some form have some sort of connectivity that allows you to play with multiple people. Like, I guess, like, God, I guess I don't remember Pokemon Ranger having multiplayer.
Not that I can remember.
And I think the original Pokemon Snap didn't really have anything either. Like, because, I mean, even in new Pokemon Snap, like, you can connect online and, like, look at other people's photos and, like, interact with them in, like, that manner, which isn't a lot, but it's something. I mean, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, you can save somebody else's that died in a dungeon, so it's not, like, supposed to be multiplayer, but there is a way to have, like, somebody else connect and, you know, play to, like, help you out. So, like, even in games that are more single player driven than average, they still have something. I'm trying to think, what's a series that I've played a lot of games in that has varied entries?
While you're thinking of that,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm still thinking.
While you're thinking of that, can I name a game that has one of the most completely pointless multiplayers in the history of video games? Super Mario Galaxy has multiplayer. If you hook up a second Wii Remote, you can have a second star pointer to collect star bits. And that's it.
I was going to say, unironically, I have experienced that multiplayer.
I have too.
It
is exactly as how I described it.
Yeah.
Is Cappy any better in Odyssey? Second players beat Cappy.
I honestly forgot about that.
I forgot about that too. I think that's probably a little more intrusive than anything, though, if you're trying to do, like, fine-tuned platforming. Like, how do you balance two people trying to, like, manage that?
Oh my god. Shut the fuck up. Because you said intrusive, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U.
New Super Mario Brothers U.
Yeah, that one.
Oh my god.
With the gamepad.
The gamepad.
The blocks.
That truly turns what was already one of the biggest chaotic messes in the history of multiplayer video games, which was New Super Mario Brothers Wii, and just makes it even worse.
It was fantastic.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
I like how you made it sound so atrocious, and you're like, it's perfect.
No, I say that with all of the love in my heart. I love New Super Mario Brothers. Like, New Super Mario Brothers Wii is a good game, but, like, multiplayer, it is an entirely different beast. If you have 4 people playing at the same time, it is a chaotic mess, and I love it. And with New Mario U, you just add the fucking gamepad shit where, like, the person can just touch on the screen and, like, put a bunch of platforms to just get in the way. Which is, you know, it's supposed to help people, help your friends. You can use it to help. But everyone just uses it to fuck with people, which is the way God intended, in my opinion.
It's like if you just, like, added a monkey-brained AI to, like, randomly throw things into the game while you're playing it.
Yes.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
A 3-year-old, yes.
God, it's a shame that game does not have online multiplayer, because that would be an experience.
Oh my god, that'd be so...
God, imagine if, like, you could do Smash Stage Builder, but with that sort of gameplay where everybody's throwing stuff on to the stage at once.
Even better.
That would be interesting.
Okay, last topic. Game that deserves online multiplayer. That is only local multiplayer.
Oh my God.
I will begin and end the topic, because there's no reason to talk about this after it. Mario Chase from Nintendo Land.
Correct.
Yeah, that was the answer.
Really just Nintendo Land in general, but Mario Chase specifically, yes.
Mario Chase from Nintendo Land. Just make it I will pay $30, Nintendo. $30 US. Just me. Everyone else can pay a different amount.
Just for Mario Chase.
For Mario Chase with online.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree to that payment.
Yeah.
Like, not even anything else from Nintendo Land, just Mario Chase?
I just want Mario Chase.
I'm struggling to name another game from Nintendo Land that is not Mario Chase. I remember the Zelda one.
But I wouldn't.
The
pay
Animal
$30
Crossing one.
for it.
The Animal Crossing one, Sweet Day. Throw that in there too.
All right, we'll just take all of Nintendo Land, but online, please.
Yes,
it's been a
please.
hot minute since I played Nintendo Land, so I forgot that it didn't have like online.
It did not.
It did not.
It sucks.
Nintendo's
What a missed
allergic.
opportunity.
It really was.
I feel like Nintendo was allergic to adding online multiplayer to games that weren't Smash and Mario Kart until
They really were.
Until like 2 or 3 years ago. They realized like, oh wait a minute. People like it when we put online in our multiplayer video games. Huh.
Weird. Well,
Yeah,
we'll
weird.
never do that again.
And you know the funny thing is the game that like was the catalyst of all of this is probably Super Mario Maker 2. Like,
Yeah,
they realized,
I think so.
When, like everybody was like just chaotically playing together online, they were like, oh, we could just put this in all of our games and people will play it.
Yeah.
Did they add the online mode for Super Mario Party after Mario Maker 2?
I
believe so, because Super Mario Maker 2 came out in like the early summer, like June of that year.
2019.
And it was the year after Super Mario Party came out. And then the fall of that year, Super Mario Party got its online multiplayer. So yes.
So there you go. It's a true statement, folks. Truer than any other.
Thank you, Super Mario Maker 2.
Anyway,
So,
that's the end of that discussion. I'm going to stand up now.
All right. Time for the ad read.
Time for the ad read. All right, folks. Listen, it's hard work getting these podcasts and our Patreon exclusive stuff together sometimes. I mean, you saw if you listened to our Dragon Ball podcast, like I did so much work for that podcast. It's insane. I played 25 Dragon Ball games in like 4 months for one podcast.
You prepped for that for a long time.
I really did. I just kind of hyper fixated on it. So basically what we're just saying here is we have a Patreon, we have a Discord, we shout these out at the end of our videos, and we're going to shout out, you're pointing the opposite direction.
All right.
There we go.
All right, on my screen it's fucking...
All right. I mean, this is all just for the Twitch live stream, so this isn't going to go out, like, this isn't going to translate when it gets exported later. But, as usual, we have our Patreon. We're doing currently Pathfinder still. We've already got a video from earlier this month as of doing this live stream, and we also got we've got a second episode that's going to be coming out later in the month. It's probably going to be out probably a little bit after this podcast goes out, probably a week or two after. I don't know yet. But yeah, Landon is back with Tillamook, and he's just holding it up, and he just wants to show you that he has two Tillamucks.
What flavors are those, Landon? They look delicious.
So
Holiday
one of them is
sugar
pepperment.
brownie.
One of them is peppermint
Sugar
bark.
cookie. And the other is holiday sugar cookie.
Okay, thank you. These are the holiday limited editions. We have peppermint bark.
Nice.
And we have holiday sugar cookie. You guys get to choose which one I'm going to taste test this week, and then the other one I will
Holiday
taste.
sugar cookie.
Sugar cookie?
Holiday sugar cookie.
Alright, let's throw this away.
I went to the store today and I did notice that they had peppermint bark in stock, but they also still had the summer flavors. They still had like the campfire and the orange cream. They did not have the sugar cookie, which is unfortunate. I'm trying to fill air because Landon is currently opening the ice cream. There
Okay.
he
Yes.
is.
He is going to tell us how it tastes.
It's probably delicious.
Okay, so it's vanilla. It's their creamy vanilla. But it
Mhm.
has these chunks of just sugar cookie.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I want it.
Yep, I would say this is pretty good. Okay, I'll get a view for the camera. I don't know if you can... You probably can't see it super well because it's all
it's just all white.
It's all the same color. But like, there it is.
Got some
Hell yeah.
sugar cookie in there.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, pretty good. We'll find out how good the peppermint bark is next time.
Perfect. Anyway.
So we've basically touched on, I think, everything we can really touch on. I don't really think it's kind of hard to like, we have like specific series and games that we've played, so it's kind of hard to like look outside that scope, and it's easier to just kind of like touch on certain things. Like I could sit here all day and just ramble off random games like Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal has a multiplayer mode. I don't know why it has it. It does. But it's one of those things where, I mean, you get the picture at this point. We definitely would like to hear from you guys if you join our Discord, or, you know, if you see this on YouTube. You can also just drop a comment below, like examples of games that you've noticed, like, you know, they're one way or the other, but you like the content that the other side offers despite it not being the focus for the game. I think that's a pretty interesting dynamic. It's kind of what's made some games just even more memorable than they would be otherwise. Like, really, like, I like New Super Mario Bros. DS, but let's be honest, without the mini games that they brought over from Super Mario 64 DS, like, it wouldn't be as memorable as it ended up being.
You know, in classic me fashion, I finally thought of a game that I hadn't thought of at all throughout the entire podcast until just now. The Rock Band franchise of games is, in my opinion, both a very good single-player and multiplayer experience.
Yeah, music games are pretty interesting.
Like, I mean, like Rock Band especially, because you have like the whole band, so like it's an interactive like couch co-op like experience with your friends, but it also it has a single player campaign and it has online. I used to play Rock Band Beatles with my friend, who like really got me into the Beatles because of that game. And like one of us would play one part, and then and then the other person would play another part. And there was actually a day where we were playing it together, and his dad came in the room, and his dad jumped in, so there was 3 of us playing this game at the same time. Like, one of us was doing vocals, one of us was doing, I think it was bass, and the other one was doing guitar. It was great. Hell yeah. It's Cheese Whiz.
It's Cheese Whiz.
Fuck the discussion about multiplayer games. It's Cheese Whiz on screen, even though it's a podcast.
Is Cheese Whiz better with multiplayer content or single player content?
He's better outside, but I'm not allowed to put him out there.
Oh. Look at him just chilling.
Let's do our usual outro situation. First off, obviously, what is new with you guys? And is there anything outside of our general topic that you wanted to either hit upon, or did you just want to share something that, you know, cool that you've been up to? Jack is like thinking. He's got his fingers on his forehead. He's like, ESP.
I could say, but I don't want to be a downer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Past week hasn't been great for me. I've mostly been spending the week with my girlfriend because being home kind of sucks right now. Because, I mean, if you followed us on, if you're in our Discord, join our Discord, by the way. But if you're in our Discord, you've probably already seen this, but Momo passed away last week, and yeah,
13 years old.
13.
Wow.
Yep.
Very old.
Rest in peace.
Life.
Rest in peace to my favorite member of GamingStooges.
I died.
Wow.
The perfect like mouthful of ice cream response.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been as good if you didn't have a mouthful of ice cream.
You're welcome.
Oh my god.
There really is the chef's kiss.
Oh. But haven't been up to too much. I've mostly just been trying to take it easy. In the past like week, my girlfriend and I are still watching through Castlevania. I forget if I mentioned that the last time we
talked about it
podcasted.
last time.
I did, yeah. We're still watching through it. It's a great show. I'm enjoying it. Otherwise, have not been up to much. It's mostly just been work and that. Spending time with my girlfriend.
Okay. So for me, we actually had a few interesting things come up. Nothing like too crazy, but we recently had a big entertainment center. We managed to bring that in, and so like the bureau that I have behind me, like we actually managed to like set this whole thing up where like my dresser has been moved to this room, and now there's a nice big entertainment center with our game consoles on different shelves, and
Hell
then
yeah.
like Allison has a bunch of her stuff on like the shelving units underneath. So we're really starting to like organize the apartment a bit better and like have stuff in places that are like both easy to access and also not like just cluttering. So it's really cool that we have that going on. But
That's nice.
You're not going to be able to know like this is purely for like the live stream right now. But I have a bunch of figures, and most of them are not mine. They're actually Allison's. But there's a bunch of figures. There's an Agumon head. Landon, look, there's an Agumon head.
I can see that.
Would you do that Charmander?
I like how Landon always talks about Agumon being his favorite Pokemon, but now that I say Agumon, he's like, Charmander?
No. Paper
Goku
Mario.
is his
Goku.
Yeah.
My number one Pokemon. That's a fact.
Okay, true.
Look it up.
But, so yeah, there's that was going on. Other than that, like, not a whole lot new. Actually, no, that I lied. We also, I had a giant mattress behind me for a bit. We finally set up the mattress so it's like on the bed, and we had to dispose. And here's the thing: we had to dispose of our old mattress, but my state last year banned throwing mattresses out on the curb. We can't do that anymore. So we as effective of late 2022, we have to call to get someone to pick up the mattress, and depending on who you call, the price varies. I am not happy about how much money I had to pay in order to get rid of my mattress.
That sucks.
You want to know how much I paid? And
$500.
I mean, Alice, my girlfriend helped me pay for it. Thank God, because it was so expensive. It was $207
To get rid of a mattress?
to get rid of a full-size mattress. Just the mattress, not even the box spring. We still have the box spring that the mattress came with. Just the mattress was $207.
That's absurd.
Here's the best part. The mattress and box spring combo, I bought it back in like January of 2018. Might have been like late 2017. I don't remember.
For less than what it cost to get rid of.
No. It was $350 with both of them together. So like if you like essentially took like the price of the box spring probably costs less if like factored in. So it was almost the price of the mattress when I paid for it just to get rid of it. It was so stupid.
Did your apartment not have like a dumpster that you could just put it in?
Not one that's big enough, because the thing is while it is a big dumpster, there are tenants in the building. We all share it. So that dumpster is always stuffed. And I don't think and because of the law, I don't think I would have been allowed to do that anyway.
Here's a fun tip. Wait until they take it, and then you just throw it away in there, and then you just go, oh shit, who would throw a mattress away in here?
But yeah, it
Fun life
was
hack.
stupid. I do want to like have a brief discussion about a certain topic because it's not something that the whole podcast could take up, but I would like to hear Landon's like catching up thing first before we do it.
What have I been doing? Oh boy. No, seriously, what have I been doing? Please tell me. What year?
You got a new phone? You got a new Doku adventure machine?
I got a new Doku adventure machine. It runs.
Plays Dokkan Battle.
Yeah, that's all I asked for on that. Some friends and I met up, and we decided to go hit up a couple of our local video game stores. And I found a copy of Clubhouse games for the DS.
No way. There was a Clubhouse games for the DS? I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
Look it up.
That's funny.
So I bought that. And then I also bought... Oh, I have one of them next to me. Hold on. Fire Emblem 1 for the Fammy.
Yo, that's sick. I like that.
The old Fammy. And then...
Oh, yeah, okay. I vaguely remember seeing the box art for that. Okay.
And the last one was I got the last Dragon Ball Famicom game that I did not own before. It is the one that requires the data scan. So it was like a scanning machine with cards. Oh, it was for the Famicom. And like I'll post a picture in the spoilers of it. I got only the cart though, but like I found the cart. I didn't even think I'd ever just see the cart, and this place had two of them. I was like, what the fuck? I want that. So yeah, so those have been my recent pickups. Mostly been playing Trails to Azure. I know I talked about that last time. I finished chapter 1. So I'm like, I think a quarter of the way through the game, because there's like 4 main chapters to it, and then there's like a couple like smaller side bits to it. So like I'm already a quarter way through that one, loving that. Still working a little bit on Octopath every now and then. Yeah. That's not... Oh, who do we see? We just saw someone. We went and saw Mark Broussard on Saturday. That was a good show.
Cool.
We went to the Aladdin, and yeah, that was fun. Oh, we had some killer barbecue right beforehand, so I love that.
Nice.
That's great. Yeah.
Trying to think of if there's anything else to go over.
No, I was staring at Cheese Whiz because he was using his scratch post in the office, and
I had to look behind me because, yeah, Sneezy, she was like clawing at the carpet underneath, and I'm just like, she's like, you, I can see her behind me through my webcam. She's like just walking around, but she's just like, I'm like, stop it, stop clawing the carpet. But no, if you guys were ready, I had a quick question. So earlier today, as of the recording and streaming of this podcast, it was announced there is confirmation we are getting a live-action Zelda movie.
Yay.
No, I don't believe you.
So, I did want to just get your thoughts on it. Apparently, and this is very bizarre to see, Sony is working on the movie with Nintendo.
Yeah, but
Sony and Nintendo.
Sony's not PlayStation.
And
yeah,
they have Avi Arad and Shigeru Miyamoto like co-producing it with Wes Ball directing. I don't know what to expect from this, to be honest. Like, I knew that there was eventually going to be a Legend of Zelda movie, because like they wouldn't make a Mario movie and then like not just branch out into like an extended, a bunch of different properties. But it is still really weird to hear that we're getting like a live action one.
Okay, but I don't give a shit anymore about that conversation, because I want a Metroid movie, and I want it as fucking hardcore as possible. Give me all the blood.
Just have like hardcore metal music playing in between like Samus shooting aliens.
Yes. Okay.
It's like Doom. It's like Doom but Metroid.
I will soundtrack this movie.
Okay.
I want that to happen. So as far as Zelda goes, I mean, we'll definitely probably maybe talk about it more in the future. I'll probably go see it just because, but we need to see, like, we need to know, if it's live action, who the fuck is, actually going to be the actors in it?
Right.
Is Chris Pratt going to be Link?
Yeah, so
No, Chris Pratt is Zelda.
Uh-huh. Is Jack Black Ganondorf?
No, they're gonna throw you for a loop. Jack White is Ganondorf.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's worth noting we don't have any more details other than it is being worked on and those names that I mentioned being involved in the production of the movie. We don't know if there's going to be a, unique story for this movie or if it's going to be based on one of the games or something. We don't know who's going to be in it. We don't know anything. We just know it exists. But I wanted to bring it up because we've covered the Mario movie here on the podcast before, so eventually, I guess maybe half of a podcast episode review of that movie when it happens, maybe someday during like season 5. I don't know.
Okay. It's going to be Ocarina of Time. That's what they're doing. I'm gonna call it now.
Just the story for Ocarina of Time. I mean, I believe it.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's like the most recognizable story in the series.
And then eventually they'll do a prequel for Skyward Sword.
If they do it based on a game, it's probably going to be Ocarina of Time. It'd
be Ocarina of Time or the original Zelda, but the original Zelda didn't have much of a story, so they'll just loosely interpret that story.
Yeah, I think I see where you're going with it. It does seem like something where, like, if they're going to make a movie, for Zelda, they'd probably have it, like, mostly based on one game, and then, like, kind of take inspiration from, like, different other pieces.
Yeah.
Kind of like they kind of, like, did similar with Mario. It wasn't really specifically rooted in, like, a single game, but, like, it was, like, an origin story sort of situation. They were like, all right, here's a bunch of references to, like, different games thrown in, so, like, we might see something similar. But yeah, I think that's really it for today, huh? So we've got a bunch of stuff in the pipeline. We've got some really cool content planned out in the near future. We've got streams. We've got Patreon exclusive idea brewing. And of course, we've got more podcasts coming up. We are skipping our next scheduled podcast. Usually we do these every 2 weeks. But the next podcast would land on Black Friday, which is really awkward. And also, 2 of the 3 of us work, like, exclusively in the service industry. So
3 of the 3 of us do.
3 of the 3 of us.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Well, yeah. No,
They're
it's
just
true.
Different kinds of services.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah. So we all work in the service industry, which is, as you know, extremely hectic this time of year. So we're going to be taking the next typical podcast air date off, but we will be back in December with another podcast. It will be like in November, though, that will later this month where we'll actually be like streaming it. So, but we'll see you guys then, and roll the outro. No, seriously, roll it. We're going.
Okay.
No,
bye.
I'm not going to. Okay, now I will. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Gaming Stooges Talks podcast. If you enjoyed us, consider subscribing to our podcast RSS feed, or follow us on youtube.com/GamingStooges and twitch.tv/GamingStooges for more gaming content. If you'd like to chat with us, join our Discord. The link can be found in the episode description. We also want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Your continued support means a lot to us. Not already one? Please take a look at what we have to offer anyone who becomes a patron at patreon.com/GamingStooges. See you next time.